everybody, it's Maria Boynton. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Atlanta Up Close. The election is in full swing. November 4th is Election Day. And we like to say that there are 4 candidates running for mayor of Atlanta. We have asked each candidate to come into our studios for some quick Q&A because we want to provide equal time. And we're talking about the race for mayor of the city of Atlanta. Up first is none other than Dr. Helmut Domagalski. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. So first and foremost, what's in your name? That's an interesting type of name.
Yeah, so my born name was Helmut Domagalski, which I'm very thankful for. My father is from Germany. His parents were actually Nazi dissenters, and he came over here. And Helmut means protector. And then Love, my legal name is Helmut Lucero Love. Lucero is my mom's side is Hispanic Native American. And Love is actually formerly a drag name from Kylie Sonique Love, and now my full name. So my name means, Helmut Lucero Love means protector of light and love. And that is now my official name, but it's Domagalski on the ballots.
You're running for mayor of Atlanta. How long have you been in the city of Atlanta?
I've been here for 15 years. Incredible, wonderful years. So blessed to be here.
And why do you want to be Atlanta's next mayor?
I want to be Atlanta's next mayor because I greatly love my 3 daughters. And I'm concerned about the kind of city and the kind of world that we're handing to the next generation. I truly believe that Atlanta needs to rid itself of some of its longstanding corruption, and especially in this time with the lack of federal dollars, with the largest big city wealth gap that we've experienced in America, it's extremely important to economically protect our city and then grow it. I feel like the leadership that we have not been growing our city economically for its people as it could. And I think our people deserve the protection of our government.
So what would you do differently? Let's say, take your 3 top issues to start with. What would you do differently in the city of Atlanta that you feel has not been addressed historically or is not being addressed right now by the current administration? And what would you do to change it?
Yeah. So the very first thing is really just thinking about our integrity with our money. And what I mean is everything from bottoms up accounting, full fiscal look at everything from city pensions, watershed, and planning economically to be in a better position with our infrastructure. So that's part one, is really having a high level of integrity in those areas. And that includes enabling the OIG, the Office of Inspector General,
right,
which actually left her office after death threats, having found corruption in the city, or at least claimed corruption in the city. Alleged. However, the city council changed the law so we couldn't find out, and then she left because of death threats. And that's highly concerning for me.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there. What would you do differently in that respect?
Well, I think in that respect, listen, when you aren't corrupt, I got no problem showing off my cards, right? Get into the data. Look at the truth. The truth will set us free, right? So when you don't have something to hide, you don't hide. When you have something to hide, you hide, right? And that is something that concerned me greatly and was one of the reasons I decided to enter, because, deciding to run in May or March wasn't like strategically the best. But when I saw what was going on, I'm like, we're about to head into the worst economic challenge in our city, and we're going to do that with people whose hands are dirty? That just didn't feel right to me as a citizen. The second issue is I truly, truly believe from an economic perspective, we as a country, as a nation, are being asked, what are we doing with capitalism? And I have a firm belief that all of our nonprofit services, everything that we run, we already have such excellence in our city. How do we actually make private-public partnerships work? So a big part of my platform, if you look at every area, whether it's transportation, whether it's homelessness, I have a everything is possible perspective. And a big part of that is Republicans speak a lot to private-public partnership, but we don't actually deliver it.
Okay, how would you deliver it?
The difference is delivering it. And the way I would do that with joint ventures with nonprofit and city in every area. We can solve these issues. I'll use the example, one of them, of homelessness. We talk about the homeless population, but we don't think about how can we put together programs that say, you know what, if you're in the drug addicted category, here you go, sign up for this program, you get recovery, but for that expense, you now have a termed contract to work somewhere. You're going to have basic room, shelter, right? But you're paying for the expense that we had to put in to get you recovered, right? So looking at programming differently as a city and really thinking, how can we help our people, the actual people? I think about that, let's spend, $5 billion of taxpayer money on infrastructure. How about $5 billion of money on the people, putting them in an economically better position to afford the housing and groceries that we have? We're not putting our money in our people, and we're seeing the results of that in every category. I feel like as a city, we should be entirely enamored with outcome-based services, and that means partnering with our nonprofits. That's why I named Dr. Stacy Lang as the One Humanity leader. She's done over $5 billion in federal and faith contracting. And what's important is she agrees with me. We need to streamline our nonprofit services and actually get investors. I delivered a message at the Federal Reserve to this end. And what's been beautiful is I already have billionaires, and I know large corporations are going to be on. Because if we can develop these solutions in Atlanta, we can sell them to other cities. And that's how we play this economic game. We got to figure out, in a time of great economic confusion, how does Atlanta come together and attract dollars? Because that's what we need to protect our city and our people, and then grow past that.
I'm going to let you get to number 3.
Yeah.
I want to ask you brought up the word homelessness.
Yes.
How would you do differently what has been done? I mean, we've seen someone who was unhoused, that was run over by a city vehicle, that has been documented. You see the homeless now turned out into the streets. As mayor of Atlanta, how should you feel that would be handled properly?
Yeah, I mean, the homelessness problem is such a reflection of our economic immorality as humans right now in our civilization, right? These people aren't just from Atlanta. The reality is they come from all over the South, and they're people who've either been relationally abandoned, are mentally ill, right, or struggling through drug addictions, right, or any combination of those three. So we really have to look at, there are certain centers in Atlanta that have incredible outcomes. How do we take those and reproduce those? How do we streamline our homelessness and put them in those categories? I don't know if you're aware, I've spent some time in the streets.
Okay.
And you look at someone who comes in with relational poverty, they're quickly given drugs. They quickly become a drug addict because we're mixing these people with each other, right? So how do we wind up putting them into different categories and then providing services and working with the community to solve the issues, right? That's the end state, because let's be honest, we as a society, we will do better if we find productive ends for them to ultimately work and contribute, right? That's the end goal. And I know there's a part of them needing to want that, but we don't necessarily today work our nonprofit system efficiently like a business. That is what has to change. We have to start seeing the role of government is to work with those nonprofits and truly support and even consolidate where necessary those that are doing a great job.
Number 3 on your list of what's wrong with Atlanta and how would you change it?
So the other thing is about attracting other dollars, right? I think that, the collaboration's currency. And I have several concepts. One of them I'll speak about is a consortium. We have the opportunity, if you think about the development of AI and tech in our humanitarian services or in conservation, but we also have this Hollywood angle, right? How can we take the citizens of Atlanta who want to put out positive messages out there into a consortium? I call this the One Love Consortium. Together with small business owners, together with the large corporations, to start branding and marketing Atlanta as the city of one love on one earth for one humanity. And think about it, all those front doors, those digital front doors, if we start to see there's an economic strategy for Atlanta to be the face of unity for the world, and I'm not playing small with that, right? That means that we will generate new dollars for our small businesses, for our corporations. And then I have a plan of actually doing live events, right? So One Love is faith and finance. Earth is earth conservation and humanitarian, right? So if we do live events as the thought leader, the global thought leader in those areas, what does that do? It takes our faith houses, it takes our universities, it gives them more and more attention and knowledge, which does what? Gets us federal contracting, right? That That position, Atlanta as a leader, is what we've had from a civil rights perspective. Let's lean into that and bring money to our doorsteps and use FIFA and the other events as opportunities to market the new Atlanta, the place of hope for the nation. And I'm not playing small with that, right? We literally need to be real. We have an economic challenge. We have people to protect, and I'm looking at how can I bring and attract dollars to Atlanta citizens.
How does public safety figure into your plan of doing better? I mean, that's a concern for everybody.
It is. And I think that there's a couple areas there. So if you really talk to people in the streets, there are a lot of communities that do not feel safe. They do not feel safe at night walking around. They want more police protection. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth. That you can have one thing going on the phone and when and our social media that keeps dividing us on this issue. But when you look at what people and residents are saying, they want to feel safe. Now, it is important that we use the training center to make sure that the policies that policemen are using are accurate. The other thing is, what does tech and AI look like in policing? We haven't even explored that. Let's get some joint ventures together with our policing and make sure that we continue to be at the forefront of policing. There's one aspect I get really passionate about that I can't impact per se as mayor, but I can advocate for, and that's our incarceration system. I feel like right next to our policing is that incarceration needs to be great at making people better. Okay. Right? And we don't currently drive our systems for outcomes that help us. We just drive them for, okay, we got a private public and it's for money. We can still make money, right, doing those things, but how about if we made more money if we help people get better?
All righty, everybody. Talking to Dr. Helmut Love Domagalski. Time is wound down. Why don't you look into the camera and tell everybody, we'll give you about a minute or so, tell everybody why you should be their choice.
I should be your choice for mayor of Atlanta because I am a unique candidate. I don't come with political bias on either side, but I come with actual, real solutions. I am a corporate leader who has led $250 million AI and tech businesses, and I know how to manage a budget, and I know how to make AI, tech, and marketing work for our city. So I'm not just a person with the integrity for the role, but I have the background, the commitment, the passion, and the independence to be the kind of mayor that you will be proud of and the exact kind of mayor that needs to get us through the economic storm that we're facing as a people.
Thank you, Dr. Domagalski. Good luck
you.
to you. And again, everyone, every candidate for mayor of the city of Atlanta, they were invited to our forum. Thank you for listening to yet another edition of Atlanta Up Close. And as always, you know you can listen to on the Odyssey app. I'm Maria Boynton.